The art stays consistent. The creatives, whether they're holding funds in stablecoins, it stays consistent. So yeah, I think we've all learned a lot, especially creators and people who have been through a few cycles now, that we've learned the benefits of stablecoins. We've learned that prices going up are always a good thing, but prices going up meaning they'll come down eventually too. And so whether it's businesses having their treasuries in stablecoins and USDC, or creators just making sure that they price the right things depending on what their goals are in stablecoins or USDC, it's just a really valuable tool for everyone to have.
Hello, friends. Welcome to another episode of Carlos Podcast. I'm your host, Carlo, and today's episode is very special because we're going down the rabbit hole of stablecoins. Our guest today is Peter Schroeder, who has been doing marketing at Circle, the company behind USDC, for over 4 years. Peter explained how USDC works and the myriad of use cases that has been unlocked thanks to this technology. Towards the end of the conversation, Peter explained why he's excited about the future of digital money and what we can expect to happen over the next years. Don't forget to subscribe and share this episode if you find it useful. Your support really means a lot. Peter, how is it going?
It's going good. Thanks for having me. Excited to talk about stablecoins as always.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of USDC, and I'm so happy to have you here in the show to talk about it because, usually my guests are more into the digital art, NFTs, crypto, more like creative stuff, and not so much on the finance side. But I'm very very curious to hear from you and your experience working at Circle, what it's like to market a stable coin. So super happy to have you on the show. Peter, can you tell us a bit about your background? So before crypto, before joining Circle, what were you up to?
Yeah, definitely. And I hope that your audience is interested in this too, because, artists and everyone who works on creative things, especially in the Web3 space, need to get paid too. And what better way than stablecoins? But a little bit on my background before we get into it. I've worked traditionally in B2B SaaS for a long time before getting into the crypto and stablecoin space. I joined Circle about 3 years ago after spending 10 plus years at B2B SaaS companies, and joined Circle to work on our global expansion from a marketing perspective. And so making sure we can go to different regions that need USDC, need stablecoin support, and do that in a localized way. And also responsible for working with our creative team on our campaigns. And so you've maybe seen some of our Money's Now Open creative and the videos and the campaigns that we've done there, which has been a lot of fun. We've been doing that more and more over the last year, and we'll continue to refresh those campaigns over the coming years. And hopefully people find them fun and interesting and learn a little bit about Circle and stablecoins through them. But yeah, I've been doing this for about 3 years now. Joined Circle about peak bull market, last bull market. And so really fun time to join, getting to see everything that was happening in the space. Since then, we've gone through a few different cycles, and now it looks like we're back. And so this is where the fun part starts for everybody.
Yeah, definitely. So at the time we're recording this, Bitcoin is at all-time high, I believe, of $91,000 per Bitcoin.
Yeah, I think it touched 92 today. So exciting times.
At the same time, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it's also all-time high volumes for USDC. Is that right?
It's pretty close. So monthly volumes this year have gotten over $100 billion earlier in the year, and we're starting to tick up again. There's two ways to look at stablecoin volume, which is getting a little bit in the weeds, but there's total volume, which includes MEV bot data, which includes exchange intercompany transfers and things like that, which a little bit earlier in the year, there was a lot more MEV bot volume, especially on chains like Solana. And since then, there hasn't been as much like MEV transfer volume. So as it goes for like real USDC transfer volume, we're approaching all-time highs. USDC has processed over $20 trillion in stablecoin volume, just USDC alone. And so just really exciting to see the usage continue to trend upwards. And the other thing about usage too is, USDC was created a little over 6 years ago. And in its early days, it was really used amongst traders, OTC desks, market makers, exchanges, people really controlling like the backbones of the crypto financial markets. But in these last couple of years, we see this in the wallet data and people holding less than 100, less than $10. We've just seen exponential growth in wallets of just normal everyday people using stablecoins, whether it's for sending, spending, savings, however they use stablecoins within their local markets, as well as those trading use cases continuing to grow. And so it's just been exciting to see the proliferation of stablecoins, especially for people globally who need them most.
No, definitely. So I think it's the coin that I'm using the most these days. And in my case, so I receive crypto through my newsletter and podcast subscription, right? So people can subscribe monthly. But now, over the past month, I've been releasing NFTs. So you can buy the podcast as an NFT, you can buy articles. And so I get ETH, right? And what do I do with that? So most of the time, I transfer that to stables and I just keep it on. So it's more like a constant, like a more it's not so volatile, right? So I can keep it in USDC. And recently I discovered so I can get the automatic yield just by holding USDC, right? So it's okay. So this kind of it's all I need at least for now. If I want to, as a creator, if I want to have like a more stable revenue source, right, and not be paying attention to the price of ETH every month, right?
Yeah.
But
And we're seeing that a lot
this is
more
kind of
too. Like we actually just released a video a couple weeks ago with a small business in Brazil that they're part of the Nouns DAO. And so they got a grant from Nouns DAO and they got in Ethereum. It's a company called Precious Goggles. They make the square goggles for all the Nouns people, which is a really cool use case. But, they run a business in Brazil. They got the grant in Ethereum. And they have to run a business. They have to pay expenses. They have to do everyday things. And so they swapped their Ethereum for USDC and now they run their business in USDC. And it's this really cool project that takes recycled beach plastic and turns it into those precious noggles for people in the Nouns DAO community. And the whole business is just being run on USDC. And so similar to you have a business to run, you have everyday expenses. There's only so much you can do with Ethereum. And there's also price fluctuation with, as much as Ethereum has its benefits, one thing it's not is it's not stable. Stable coins are stable. If you hold USDC, that it's going to be worth $1 the next day. And it's much more practical for everyday living expenses, businesses to manage their treasury, especially if you're a crypto first business or a crypto first person.
I mean, you want to run a business, right? And you don't want to be kind of an investor and slash run a business. You need to know how much money you have in the bank. And if you have to pay salaries, if you have to pay expenses, as you mentioned, they need to be there. You need to plan ahead, right? And be very precise. And with ETH, that's not really doable, right? Sometimes it works out and you have more money than what you started with, but usually you want to be very, very certain about your financial. So that's clearly a very important use case. Before we talk about other use cases, Peter, can you tell us a bit about the technology or the process? How does it work exactly to make sure that one USDC is $1?
Yeah, absolutely. So essentially, when you purchase one USDC or however much USDC, we take the equivalent value in dollars. We put that in our bank account and we invest. We either keep that in the bank or we invest in short-term government bonds, treasuries, or something equivalent, basically to minimize the risk as much as possible to make sure that $1 is always worth $1. So on the technology, from the technological standpoint, you can redeem $1 anytime, 24/7, 365 for one USDC through any of our partners. And it kind of depends in the world where you are, what partners you typically use for that. But if you're in the US, you can do that through Coinbase or any other exchange. If you're in Brazil, you can do that through Nubank or any of our exchange partners in Brazil. And we have it set up that way because people in the current financial system, they're beholden to these banking hours, these 9 to 5 banking hours on Monday through Friday. That just isn't the way we operate anymore. We live in a digital economy and everything has gotten upgraded around us for the most part over the last 20 years. And it's kind of just funny that the last thing to get upgraded is money. And so, people play games at night and they want to be able to buy skins and they want to be able to send money to their friends. And, now we're seeing people placing bets and stuff and they want to be able to do all of these things 24/7, 365 and not be beholden to these traditional banking hours. And so USDC essentially is those digital dollars that gives anyone access to dollars around the world to use however they use dollars on the internet.
That's quite interesting. So portion of what people buy, Circle invests, generates revenue, a small portion of that, but most of it is in US dollars, right? It's in a bank account in US dollars. So that's how you make sure that the one-on-one, I mean, it's usually 0.56 to 0.59, right? So it's fluctuating a couple of cents.
Yeah, we have transparent reserves too. You can search Circle transparency. We have transparency pages on our site, so you can always go in and see the mix of our reserves, what we're investing in, all the way down to there's a site you can go through our transparency page that it actually tells you the serial number of every treasury bill that we invest in, and so we're trying to set an industry standard as it goes to transparency on our reserves, and so people can know as much as we know about our reserves and where we're investing people's dollars, so they can have full faith in USDC that it'll always be redeemable for $1.
That's something that we cannot do with the traditional system, right? We cannot have that kind of transparency with US dollars or euros in general. I think there are initiatives, but it's very complicated.
Working at Circle the last 3 years has been an MBA in finance for me, but you start to learn too about the difference between stablecoins, especially USDC, and our approach to a full reserve concept as opposed to fractional reserve banking, which you typically see in the traditional finance system. And so, you give us your dollar, we're keeping that as a dollar, we're investing it as a dollar. You go to a bank and you invest your dollar and you deposit your dollar, they're able to loan that dollar out up to 8 times. And so, that's why you hear about these things like bank runs on banks and everything that happens in the traditional financial system. It's because they're adhering to this system that is fractional reserve banking. And so at any given time, they could only have, $1 for every $8 that they've taken in deposits because they loan out those dollars up to 8 times, as opposed to USDC. Every dollar we take in, we're investing as a dollar, and we keep that full reserve methodology at all times.
No, that's in terms of transparency, that's perfect. I think it's. I was reading your Substack, and you had a phrase that I think it's the simplicity, something like it's simpler now, and that means it's more advanced, right? So you can see that in the USD system, let's call it that way, that the stable coin. By the way, you write the API economy. That's how I found you. I've been reading your newsletter, and I recommend all the readers to check it out. And you posted a very interesting graph, which probably is outdated now, comparing stable coins and Visa transactions, and it's 8.5 trillion against 3.9 trillion dollars. So comparing stable coins to Visa transactions. So, and it feels that it's just the beginning, right, of the stable coins. So what are the estimations there? And do you feel like Visa is kind of a competitor as to stable coins, Visa and MasterCard, or it's just a way to represent the volumes? How do you see that?
Yeah. 2 things really quick. You touched on like the concept of USDC, and it's meant to be simple. Like that's what we think as well. I say a lot, and I said this in the stablecoin post that I wrote that you mentioned. Simplicity is the ultimate form of sophistication, and so especially with technology, things that work best are just simple. You think about your iPhone, you think about anything that's elegantly designed, it should just work, and that's what's kept me so passionate about USDC in the stablecoin space. Is there's things like wires and waiting for things to settle, and just any problems that you've experienced with money where you're just like, this isn't how it should be. It should just work. Like money should just work. Money should just send. Money should just spend. Like we live in a digital age now where things can be based on the internet, and data can move for fractions of a cent. Like money should too, and that's the vision that we're working towards with USDC and with stablecoins, and why we've seen the traction that we have. It's interesting that like we compare USDC transaction volume to Visa because Visa is actually a partner. They're not a competitor. Visa does some stablecoin settlement pilots. They're very transparent. Kai Sheffield, who works at Visa, he has amazing projects that he works on that he talks about publicly at all the conferences, as well on his podcast called Tokenized, which is a really great resource. And so they're not competitors, but we do some of the same things. The interesting thing about comparing stablecoin volume to Visa volume is stablecoins do so much more than just settlement and payment processing, and things like just Visa does. Digital dollars based on the internet that are programmable and interoperable, able to do more sophisticated things than dollars have ever been able to do. It enables things like MEV bots. Like MEV bots are doing sophisticated trading tactics that just weren't possible before things like stablecoins and programmable dollars and digital dollars on the internet. You have these more traditional use cases, whether it's payment settlement or cross-border payments, or even people spending with stablecoins and saving with stablecoins in countries where there's very high inflation. There's just more kind of depth and breadth to the possibilities that digital dollars like USDC has. And so I know we like to compare like stablecoins to Visa. It's more just to show volume and scale. Like Visa is the biggest payment processor in the world, and they're doing a great job, and they're continuing to innovate, which is so exciting to see. But just to show you scale, like USDC transaction volume doing more than one of the biggest payment processing companies in the world, it's just super exciting. It shows the adoption, it shows the innovation in the space, and it shows that this technology has found product market fit, and we'll continue to see use cases that we haven't even thought about before. You think about digital money and money that can settle instantly. Like we talk a lot about AI using stablecoins now, and what AI isn't going to use a bank wire that costs $15 and takes 3 days to settle. They're going to use stablecoins that move for a fraction of a cent and settle instantly. You even talk about contractors around the world, especially in high inflation countries that sometimes wait weeks for their paychecks to come in. If you have something like stablecoins that are programmable, enable instant settlement and instant transactions, can an Uber driver in Latin America complete a drive and get paid right after instead of waiting 7 days for that money to come in? There's these use cases that we talk about that are exciting, that things like USDC and digital dollars enable, that I'm just super excited about.
Yeah, you mentioned borderless transactions, so that's something that I have experienced firsthand. So I have family in Mexico and in the US. I live in Europe, and sometimes I send them money, sometimes they send money to me, a gift or whatever, and it's always a pain with a wire transfer. It's expensive and it's super slow. And with USDC, I mean, it's instant and it's almost cheap, right? It's almost free. It's like a couple of cents. Why will people use the old system? And I guess the reason at the moment is it takes time, right, for people to understand USDC, and they still need a wallet, right? Or they still need to have some sort of crypto system to hold the USDC, right? Is that the main reason why it's taking a little bit? I mean, it's growing super fast, but people still need a wallet, right?
Yeah. I mean, old habits die hard, right? Like breaking existing patterns that you use are really hard. But it's funny that you say like the U.S. to Mexico as an example that you face. Like the U.S. to Mexico is the biggest remittance corridor from the U.S. for money being sent. It's $63 billion a year of money flowing from the U.S. to Mexico. Currently, at volumes that we've seen within the last couple of months, 2% of those flows are being conducted within USDC, and so that's exponential adoption that's happened year over year for stablecoins, specifically USD, kind of chipping away at some of those existing flows. And why is that? If you're someone who understands how to be able to do this, like you said, you can open a wallet, you can have someone on the other end open a wallet, you understand what's happening, and you're able to send USDC. Why would you ever pay the fees and the headaches that come with all the ways that have existed to send money to Mexico in the past, when you can just do it instantly? You can do it for a fraction of a cent, and it just works really well. What we've kind of seen as like a barrier to adoption is like you said, there's still some complexities. If you're sending money to your grandma or someone who's older, the chances that they can open a crypto wallet and understand this technology is much harder. And so what we're seeing actually though is, 80% of crypto users are Gen Zs and millennials. It's younger people. And so when it's younger people transacting with each other, it's easy. When it's younger people who want to teach their family members on how to do these things, it becomes a lot more simple. You go to Mexico, or you talk to your family in Mexico on FaceTime, you help them set up a wallet, and you kind of teach them. And it kind of takes it takes the younger generation championing some of these solutions to kind of get that adoption to some of the older generation. It's like showing your parents or grandparents how to use the iPhone or how to use FaceTime. Like you do that once, you set them up, you send the money, and it kind of works from that point forward. And so, that 2% of flows from the US to Mexico in USDC, last year it was 0.1%. This year it's 2%. What's it going to be next year? And so whether it's you showing people how to do that, or it's existing providers that handle the other 98% of the flows wanting to use stablecoins within those to make it more seamless, it's something that I think we'll see more of over the next year, especially as USDC becomes more and more prominent in those flows.
No, definitely. I mean, if you look at as you mentioned, the market is huge, and the amount of apps that exist just to send money, what you mentioned from the US to Mexico or Latin America is incredible. There are so many apps, and the amount of transfer they make, and the fees are so high. Are I think between 3 and 8%. There is also Western Union. There
Hmm.
is well, I use Wise sometimes,
Hmm.
which is it's one of the cheapest solutions out there, and I think works worldwide. But even Wise, still the percentage they take is something to consider. So definitely, I agree with you. I think that this will once as people start talking and explaining, and once they have a crypto wallet, once they do it once, there is just no way back to the old system, right? You work in B2B and B2B SaaS. I also did that in the past, but I was more in the product side, not on marketing, product and development. So when you come from that industry and you join Circle, which is this innovation in finance, and you have to understand, you mentioned you had to almost get an MBA in finance, but also in technology and blockchain and crypto, and the space is moves so fast, and there are so many regulations. So what is it like to be part of a Circle and do marketing at a crypto company compared to your previous experience?
Yeah, it's been one of the greatest learning experiences of my career, getting to work with people at Circle that are just world-class thinkers, world-class innovators, things like USDC that are some of the most innovative technology uh, in the world. It's been a lot to learn. It's been challenging at first to come into a new space, understand, what is crypto, what is blockchain, what are stable coins, what is USDC, and why is it different? Why should people want to use this stuff? And what I've really learned about simplifying a lot of how to understand this stuff is you just kind of get back to basics and get back to the roots. What is USDC? It's a digital dollar. Um, what is a dollar? What is money? How is this stuff used? And so learning about money, learning about the inception of money, learning about the purpose of money, and really the root of it. Money was created as a store of value, a unit of account, and a medium of exchange. And if you think about what that means in today's terms, it's sending, spending, saving money. And you can probably throw like trading in it as another category, as one that we've innovated within the last 100 or 200 years. And so if you think about it from like first principles and get down to basics, you just think about ways that people use money and use dollars around the world. And so in every region, that's a little bit different. And so you compare it in more emerging countries where people face high inflations. They use dollars to protect their wealth, and ideally, they can spend those dollars as well within those regions. As opposed to you go to a country that doesn't have to worry. If they're in an ideal scenario where they don't have to worry about high inflation, their local currency protects them. Uh, in markets like that, usually people are more affluent with finance and they can do things like trading and investing and participate in DeFi. And so, in all of these different markets around the world, just meeting people where they are with digital dollars and letting them know why it's a superior solution than physical fiat or whatever their existing solutions were in the past. That's been a really kind of groundbreaking thing. Like, it sounds simple. Again, this goes back to like simplicity is the ultimate form of sophistication, but understanding money, understanding why digital dollars and digital money is better. And then also just working on some of the Circle campaigns. We have a world-class creative department. We are working on some amazing projects, and we have in the past. And Circle has big influence over the market, which we don't take lightly. You think about coins,
Mhm.
terms that we've coined like open money over the last 12 months. You go to a conference, and I guarantee you someone will reference open money, or a booth will say open money, or someone's presentation will say money is now open.
Mhm.
We also coined a term before that over the last couple of years that we were entering the utility phase of crypto. Our CEO, Jeremy Allaire, coined that term at one of our conferences that we did in 2022. He talked about the utility phase of crypto for months. And then all of a sudden, everywhere you saw people talking about the utility phase of crypto. So that's not something we take lightly, being one of the top companies within the crypto industry. And, pretty soon we're really starting to be one of the top companies within finance. We don't take that responsibility lightly. And so we hold that stance and we hold that position as we want to represent uh, the people that use and need USDC and digital dollars and digital money and stable coins the most. And so, how can we do that? How can we advocate for those people? How can we make sure that we bring as many people as we can into this open
Mhm.
financial system, and we make it as easy and seamless for everyone in the world to transact as possible? And that's something that we're really working towards at Circle, and it's something that I'm really proud to work on.
Yeah, it's quite exciting. And when I before the this chat, I was wondering if the marketing strategy or how Circle approach promoting USDC was more like a online approach or per blockchain approach, like Ethereum, Solana, or other blockchains. But hearing from you, it's clear that it's more a geographical and physical approach, actually. So you mentioned the countries that might have problems with inflation, which there
Mhm.
are many out there, instead of maybe more stable countries that use the euro or use the dollar, the US dollar. And that's quite interesting. So it's kind of a purely digital company that needs to go physical, right? Needs to go into these places in the world and promote this technology, right? So do you do a lot of events, let's say in countries where inflation is high? How does it work?
Yeah, we do a lot of events around the world, and it's really hard, especially as like me, someone who grew up in the U.S., someone who spent a lot of time in the U.S. I really didn't understand some of these problems until going to these local markets and seeing the problems people actually face. And when you do, it's heartbreaking. When you go to a country that's experienced 90% inflation over the last year, and you've seen people that have worked their whole lives just to see their savings accounts and everything that they own just deflate 90% in 1 year, it's heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking to empathize with some of these people that face these challenges. And it makes you really think like, one, I'm lucky. Two, why am I so lucky? Three, like, why shouldn't everyone have access to basic financial needs and be able to protect their value? Like, why, just because this person was born in this country, that their government made decisions that led to high inflation,
Yeah,
why would that lead to them losing all their money? And so
yeah,
those are just things that, it helps you as a marketer to really meet with these people and talk to them and understand the problems that they face. It helps us when we talk to different partners in these regions, really, like, we offer USDC as a vessel for a lot of our partners to access and offer to their customers to help people save in dollars, spend in dollars, receive dollars, send dollars, all of the things that you can do with digital dollars. And then, yeah, it helps us to market all over the world in different regions. In Singapore, we don't have to talk about the same things that we talk about in Argentina or Brazil. Everyone in their own country faces their own problems when it comes to finance and money and what digital dollars and stablecoins can do for different people in different regions. You just have to pay attention to the ways people use money locally and where stablecoins can be a solution, because it's not necessarily a one size fit all, besides for some use cases like sending money globally, settlement, and some other things like that.
yeah. There are many things USD solves. Yeah, I'm originally from Venezuela, and
Mm.
I grew up in Venezuela, and luckily, so my family, we left before the big crisis, right? But we saw
Mhm.
inflation go over 300%,
Wow.
and at some point, what happened is this created a kind of a black market, where people were actually transacting in dollars, in US
Hmm.
dollars, and it's a perfect example when we think about inflation. Um, and yeah, but it's one of the things that USDC solves, but there are more, as we discussed. And I'm wondering, because we mentioned countries that maybe don't have the problem with inflation, and there are other coins like the euro and the yen, and are these coming as well? Circle provides other stable coins, and what's the process like?
We have another stablecoin called EURC, which actually has been growing really rapidly. It's one of the fastest growing stablecoins. There's next to $100 million of EURC in circulation today, and I think that that's the trend that we'll go towards. If you look at the major currencies around the world that are used today, a lot of it is within the top 10 currencies. And even within that, a lot of trade and global finance is conducted within the dollar. And so, USDC will most likely, as a digital form of money and as a stable coin, will drive the majority of volume and transactions. Um, but with the success of USDC, it's hard to believe that every currency won't be available in a stablecoin eventually. Now we have EURC. I'm not sure if Circle will make a stablecoin for every currency around the world, but as this trend continues, as adoption of stablecoins continues, I think that that's kind of like the direction that we'll work towards, with USDC and EURC and Circle as the foundation of stablecoins around the world. And it just makes sense. It makes digital finance easier. It makes foreign exchange easier. It makes cross-border payments easier. And it feels like that's the direction that we'll sort of work towards. And I think we're seeing some success with that between, even exchanges between USDC and EURC. If you talk about foreign exchange, which is one of the biggest markets in the world. Just being able to do that foreign exchange between stablecoins makes everything so much easier. And I think that that's the way that things will trend over the next 5 to 10 years, and we'll see a lot more of that.
I was wondering, do you connect and discuss with authorities, with governments, with the actual, banks that issue fiat, right? And is this because I could see potentially how this crypto, USDC and these coins might have some negative effects in the actual US dollars, or maybe I'm wrong. How does authorities and the government sees this USDC and maybe the euro? What's the governments and banks, you know, thoughts on the crypto stables?
Yeah, I can't speak to any specific government, but I think at least what I've observed is stablecoins clearly seem like an upgrade to money. And so if you think about stablecoins as it pertains to the dollar, stablecoin issuers are now a top 20 holder of treasury bills and government debt. And so if you think about that as a net new use case and more people holding U.S. government debt, that's net positive for the U.S. That's net positive for the dollar. And the more that digital dollars proliferate and hold treasury bills and hold that government debt, that's just overall positive. There's kind of no arguing that that's not a good thing for the dollar. And I think that people will take note of that. People will take note that one, digital money is a superior form factor of money. They'll see too that there's efficiencies that people get from that, and just making money flow easier and more seamless will make radical improvements to the financial system, which is good for banks, which is good for businesses, which is good for people alike. And then three, I think that just looking at increasing the demand for dollars around the world and offering USDC as a digital way for people to access dollars has proliferated. And today 99% of stablecoins are denominated in US dollars. I think that people around the world will take note of that and say, okay, this actually works as a form of money. Like, we should take this seriously, and we should take stablecoins seriously because it works. It works better than things that have existed in the past. It works better for all of these use cases that we're seeing today: sending, spending, saving money. And so overall, I think that people will just see the innovation that stablecoins is, and more people around the world, more and more different currencies, more and more businesses will just continue to adopt it, just because it's a better form factor of money.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. And you mentioned a good point. More people holding government debt. That's a net positive. I didn't think about that. What are you excited about, Peter, today, and what are you worried about today in the financial world and in crypto or blockchain in general?
Yeah, definitely. What I'm excited about is this week, fiat-backed stablecoins hit a new all-time high. We have cryptos hitting an all-time high. Stablecoins in the overall crypto markets are very related. Stablecoins typically serve as like the bridge to crypto capital markets. And so as new capital enters the market, a lot of it flows through stablecoins and gets people introduced to stablecoins. And the market moving in a positive direction is net positive for stablecoins. Not that they're always related, but the market's doing well. Bitcoin's hitting new all-time highs. Many cryptos are hitting all-time highs. I think we're all very, very excited, myself included.
Yeah.
What's worried about, maybe not worried about, but what I think about a lot is, with great power comes great responsibility. As more people enter the crypto market and hear about Bitcoin, are we onboarding people the right way? Are we getting people excited about blockchain and crypto the right way? Hopefully we're not introducing people as their first foray into crypto, into meme coins, or anything that's could harm them in the long term and get them to not be interested in the space in the long term. Hopefully we're introducing people to stablecoins. They're understanding things, the benefits of stablecoin. They're getting introduced to DeFi and some of these really good long-term projects that benefit people in the long term. And I'm just hopeful and cognizant that we're onboarding people the right way. And I think we are, hopefully, as an industry, and hopefully we keep our eyes on doing things the right way, this bull run, and onboarding people the right way. And a lot of that can be done through stablecoins. So I'm excited about that and very cognizant of it.
No, that's, I think you mentioned two great points. We are in the all-time highs of the markets. Usually this is when a new wave of people start to play around, either investing, seeing what's happening. And then with that, there comes a lot of responsibility. We saw it in 2021 with NFTs, right?
Yep.
And I mean, different kinds of projects. It was all about making money. There were also many risks involved and security issues as well, right? Many frauds. So hopefully this time is better. And I think stables are a great tool to have, right? It helps a lot to have them.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know you mentioned a lot of your audiences, artists and creators. I'm excited for NFTs to make a comeback. I know you mentioned 2021, 22. NFTs were fun. I loved it. I think there's been a lot of innovation. Even with stablecoins being related to NFTs now, more NFTs being priced in USDC instead of like ETH and stuff. And so creators can also accept things like USDC and stablecoins for their art. So I'm excited for NFTs to make a comeback too. I hope we're talking about NFTs more and some of those things come back too, because I think that's good for artists and creators and everyone involved, and it's fun too.
Yeah, and we didn't mention that, but actually in digital art, generative art, AI art, when we are dealing with these high art price pieces that are expensive, and
Mm-hmm.
artists that have a portfolio or a career, and collectors that actually take collecting very serious, stables are amazing because it kind of avoids the volatility of
Mm-hmm.
pricing things on ETH or Sol, Solana or whatever that just can impact the prices so much. And it's not really related to the artist or the art itself. It's more of a kind of a different market. So I think we'll see more of that, especially now with stables, that the technology is there, of more marketplaces, more artists, more creators offering their work in stable coins, right? You have clear pricing and not depend so much on the market. And this also goes the opposite way. When the prices go
Mm-hmm.
down, the art doesn't need to go down with it.
Yeah, so
And
something that's
that's
priced in USDC, it's priced to $1. So yeah, the art stays
yeah,
consistent. The creatives, whether they're holding funds in stable coins, it stays consistent. So yeah, I think we've all learned a lot, especially creators and people who have been through a few cycles now, that we've learned the benefits of stable coins. We've learned that prices going up are always a good thing, but prices going up meaning they'll come down eventually too. And so whether it's businesses having their treasuries in stable coins in USDC, or creators just making sure that they price the right things depending on what their goals are in stablecoins or USDC. It's just a really valuable tool for everyone to have.
definitely, definitely. And I think there will be more and more use cases for USDC. And I can see companies and creators all around the world, finding these use cases over time. And
Mm-hmm.
I think this cycle will see more and more in that. I mean, you have been sharing the stats and the graphs on your social media, and yeah, basically looks like month to month it's breaking a new record, right? So I don't know where we'll be in next year. I think it will be crazy.
We'll see. It's exciting times.
Thank you, Peter. Thanks so much, and let's stay in touch.